High security registration plate. That is what we are discussing for your information. The show is called FYI. I am Arun Singh, and you must be seeing these new kind of plates, especially if you're staying in the national capital. Because in December 2020, Delhi government made it mandatory for every vehicle in the national capital to have HSRP. We'll be using this word a lot of times during the discussion as well. It is high security registration plate. Why is it so important? How does it help? Where can you get it? How much will you have to pay if you are in the national capital, Uttar Pradesh or Himachal Pradesh as well? By the way, it is mandatory for every single Indian vehicle to have it, but now there are heavy challans in the national capital. You can be fined as high as 5,500 rupees if you don't have a high security registration plate. Very quickly, let's form a base of our discussion. Quickly, I'll give you a simple information on HSRP. First, let's have that order where Delhi government made it mandatory for every single vehicle to have HSRP. This is going to be helpful. Now, what is HSRP? It's a registration plate with a hologram and a unique pin as well. We'll get into details of this as well. But why is it so important? Why government has made it mandatory for every single state to have this? So first is, this plate uses non-reusable locks. So the locks used to fix the plate are only one-time use. You can't really tamper it easily, and it is difficult to also replace this. Once damaged, you'll have to get a new plate. Again, second point, which is very important, the details of the vehicles that you give while registering for this kind of plate is stored in a database. This is a centralized database which will be helpful to track the vehicle as well. Again, you must have seen in your respective cities or states, there are few people who go for some fancy fonts which are not legible most of the times. So if somebody runs away, police sometimes can't clearly see the number as well. Here, what they've done is there would be a uniform number which is legible as well, and it helps to track the vehicle easily on the road. Now comes a very crucial question: how to book HSRP? One simple Google search can actually take you to a website, but still we'll let you know of the website that you can use if you're here in the national capital, Uttar Pradesh or Himachal Pradesh. There's one website called bookmyhsrp.com. You can go on that, or the second website is www.siam.com. There is an HSRP column in that one, and there you can book for your two-wheeler or your four-wheeler as well. Now let's show you how a security registration plate really look like. I'm sure you've seen, because you can't really ignore that I and D sign or the embossed digits as well. So this entire plate is made of aluminium, and it is laminated with reflective sheeting having I and D. So that is the country code for the number plate. And then you have a chromium based chakra design hologram which is applied by hot stamping. There is a permanent identification number of minimum 10 digits that is laser branded. We'll ask our experts how this unique pin helps. Again, there are few alphabets here, and this HSRP is embossed with alpha numerals, borders and characters, and then there's hot stamping done using a black foil which has India written to it. So if you see the embossed numbers, and if you see it from a 45-degree angle, you'll see there's India written on the black taping which has been done over these embossed numericals. Then there would be snap locks, as we discussed right in the beginning, but in Delhi there's also color coded stickers. We'll get into details of that as well, because that tells the type of fuel your vehicle really runs on. Now comes next question, which is about the cost of this HSRP. How much does a high security registration plate cost? Again, for an example, we've kept Uttar Pradesh, Delhi and Himachal Pradesh here, but it is more or less same across different states. So it's 300 to 400 for two-wheelers and rupees 600 to 1100 for four-wheelers. It depends on the model you have, and then those charges can vary. Again, you also today have an option to get it fixed at your residence as well. There would be extra charges for that, and because there's a color-coded sticker mandatory in the national capital, there would be extra charge for that as well. So this price can vary. We'll keep coming back to the details of it. Meanwhile, you can also send in your queries on our social media platforms. We have an FYI post there. You can reply to that post and I'll try to take those questions as well. Okay, we'll go to Mr. Ramakrishnan here. We're discussing HSRP, and if you don't have this kind of plate in the national capital, you can be fined. By the way, one crucial information is because there's heavy traffic on all these websites, especially in the national capital, when on 15 December, the government decided to bring this new law. So there's a heavy traffic on the website, but if you've applied for an HSRP and if you have that application with yourself, then you can show it if you are stopped. By the way, this exercise also, the challan exercise, was also halted right after 8 days. It started, but now it has resumed in the national capital. So if you have an application of HSRP, you can show it to the traffic cops and then they can let you go. My question to Mr. Ramakrishnan, I hope you can hear me. We're discussing HSRP. I've also elaborated on what the features are, and one big question that I had in my mind is of a pin. A unique pin on the HSRP, which is of at least 10 digits. How does that help?
Right, you are right. The pin is very essential because it is like your Aadhaar identification number. It has, I mean, the number is made up of where you are registering and then what kind of vehicle and all. And it's not just unique identification, number, or what we call it as a vehicle identification number. That alone matters in the case of this vehicle, new vehicle registration number. But also, the number plates cannot be replaced so easily. Unlike the existing number plates, which are can be replaced at the will of the people. This cannot be replaced so easily, even if it gets damaged for some reason, due to accidents or something like that. Then it needs to be changed with the approval from RTO.
Mr. Ramakrishnan, also this entire database goes into a centralized setup. Yeah, so this entire database that you fill in to get it to get yourself registered goes into a centralized platform. How can that really help to facilitate the security of the vehicle? Because, of course, government is claiming there would be a centralized database or every single information that you give while registering for HSRP. How do you see it? Does it facilitate security of the vehicle?
Yeah, certainly. Because the basic problem with the road, vehicles which are on the road is that it is a highly distributed vehicle base. Vehicle in a database, and because essentially it is not done by the central government. The central government gives only the policy guidelines and the framework for developing this high security registration number. Ultimately, it has to be implemented by the respective states. But the problem is there is no clear database at the national level, so that the vehicles stolen from one state can be taken to another state and with changing numbers and all. So this has to be curbed, and this can be curbed only when we have a unique format, because people even have numbers, vehicle numbers in their mother tongue. For example, you can have numbers in Gujarati, you can have numbers in Tamil, you can have numbers in other languages also. All these things will be removed, and then the central database is very important for various reasons. It's not just for this alone. This is for example, vehicle emission certificates.
I also want to talk about color-coded stickers, which are again mandatory in the national capital. It's very important for this region, which experiences bad air quality every single year. This is an ongoing news that we see every single year. So with HSRP in the national capital, color coded stickers are also mandatory. And now what are these color coded stickers? So there are three kinds of color coded stickers here, and your vehicle is given a color based on the type of fuel it uses. So this is mandatory in the national capital along with HSRP, which is high security registration plate. Now violators can be fined as high as 5,500 rupees in the national capital. And what really does one color signify? So there is one blue color which tells that your car runs on petrol or CNG. Then there is orange for diesel cars, and then there is green for electric cars. So these are also mandatory to stick on your car along with HSRP. My question again, this is a very old exercise, HSRP, in the entire country. Despite that, we don't see many vehicles with high security plates. What do you see? How do you see this, and what do you think is the reason?
This exercise is actually initiated by the Supreme Court of India. I mean, the sole and primarily purpose was actually the theft and security reasons, because we have a non-uniform number plates, and looking into the technological part of it in terms of, the modern day enforcement is totally electronically driven. Traditional method of enforcement used to be, the police cop is standing and checking everything, but now there are cameras and everything. But camera cannot differentiate between different number plate and different font sizes. So immediately, the one is a fixation and duplication and everything is there. But the most important aspect for this entire exercise is that the kind of a system right now, modern traffic management system which are in place, they recognize high security number plate only. Like if I say that if I have to do a speeding challan, over speeding challan, in my machines, if I am doing the overspeeding challan at the night where maximum number of accidents are happening, my cameras are able to recognize only high security number plate and not anything else. So, the one major aspect coming to the high security part is it is actually going to facilitate the enforcement agencies and the road safety by large.
And we also spoke about how data can also be used, and Mr. Ramakrishnan had also made some great points there. Mr. Navdeep, you want to get in here on this part where the government is trying to create a centralized database with HSRP, and we have multiple usage of it. Any one crucial one that you want to point out here, because the entire data of engine, of chassis number, all of this is going into the database, how that can really be used here?
So certainly it's the duplication in terms of, especially the cases related to crime and enforcement. If I talk about the Modern Motor Vehicle Act amendment, now we have a compounding fees. We increase the fees. Like for a first violation, there is a X amount of fine for particular offense. But then if there is a continuous second offense, then there is a amount increases. Now somebody has done the first offense in Delhi and the second offense is in Punjab. Now earlier traditional database system used to be state specific databases. Now, I can do 28 different violations for the first time in all 28 states because there was no centralized database system in place. Now, because of this centralized database system, if I'll do a violation in Delhi and belongs to Punjab, the cop will get to know that this person is doing this particular offense second time. And accordingly, there will be a fine. It will act as a big deterrent, number one. And second, the habitual offender will be, detected through these databases only. Apart from this data, and every database has a many advantages in terms of we'll get to know what the real character of the country, that what kind of a vehicles we are, what are the kind of a fuel emissions we are using, whether the people are coming for a renewal or not, whether the insurance is there or not. So many things we can further link it up. But the crucial part is, the challaning. The enforcement is going to be very easy with this. So that's the one centralized database system is going to help us. That across the India, without worrying about any state database.
Go ahead.
Yeah, without worrying about any state. I mean, earlier there used to be, if there is a Punjab vehicle is moving in Delhi, if it is a challan, then by post the challan used to come to the Punjab, and then, it is distributed, and then they find that, this address doesn't exist even. So this high security registration plate is actually going to, solve all these problems. And in terms of, you will have a authentic address proof, authentic database linked to that, and everything will be central that any state can access rather than requesting each other. It will be available in a very unified way.
Okay. Amongst the first states to implement HSRP, there's Delhi, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Rajasthan. So these are the states which have implemented HSRP, and there is an online process also going on here as well. But we also spoke about color coded sticker. We have told you how there is a marking done with color at every single vehicle, that they can identify the type of fuel that vehicle uses. So one simple thing is, there is an exercise going on in the national capital where cars with no registration plate, with no high security registration plate, can be challaned. For now, only cars are being challaned for not having HSRP. But if you've applied for one and you have the application with yourself, that can be available on your mobile phone as well. If you show that, then you can be exempted from that challan. In the national capital, along with HSRP, you're also supposed to have a color-coded sticker. There are two websites where you can go to book your HSRP, which one is bookmyhsrp.com, second is siam.com. So on both these websites, you can register yourself, and you can also choose to get that plate fixed at your residence as well. This is a new addition because there was a heavy traffic being experienced at these websites or these centers as well. You can book the nearest dealer as well, where you can go and get that HSRP fixed. So this is going to actually give us a centralized database as well, where all the data that you submit at the website will be stored in a centralized platform. You can book this HSRP on these websites and eventually save yourself from a heavy challan. But remember, this is mandatory nationwide, but recently the exercise has started in the national capital where vehicles can be challaned. That's all the time we had for FYI today. My name is Arun Singh. It's a goodbye from my side.